Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the traditional pastimes in the UAE. Before we start the topic, I would like to know what is your favorite pastime? Is it shopping, watching a football match, or a camel race, watching a movie, or playing a game? I'm sure you all have some interesting pastimes and you all are enjoying your pastimes. Let's learn some of the traditional pastimes in the UAE. People living in the UAE have always had pastimes. Some of the pastimes are the same as the pastimes now, and some are different. Pastimes that people did in the past are called traditional. People in the UAE have many fun and interesting traditional pastimes. This means that the people in the UAE they were having some of the pastime which were their traditional pastimes in the past when they were not as developed as they are now. As the Bedouins or as the village people when they were living a simple life, they had some pastimes, and by the time when they grew uh, developed, they grew wealthy, they developed as a nation, so they kept those traditions. And some of the pastimes are still the same, and some of the pastime has reached the international level. Like they have become the very popular games in worldwide. Let's learn about them in detail. One of them is falconry. One traditional pastime is falconry. Falconry has been practiced by people of the UAE for almost 1000 years. Training a falcon requires skill and patience. People in the past trained falcons to help them hunt the food. Now, falconry is as a sport. It is one of the oldest traditional sports in the UAE. So previously they were training the falcons to help them to hunt the food, but now they do not need any more falcons to hunt food for them. But still, they have kept this tradition and gave this game the developed state of a game, a sport for the country. Camel racing is another very famous sport in the UAE. Camel racing has existed in the UAE for hundreds of years. In the past, people used camels for traveling at distant places in the desert. Now, camels are used mostly for racing as a sport. Because now the life has been changed, people are not traveling using camels mainly. So now the camels have been replaced by even faster means of transportation, that is cars or metros or airplanes. But now for the desert, still camel is a good good vehicle, or you can say good transportation means of transportation to move in the desert. But it's not been mainly used for traveling, so now they have made it also the national sport. So the people who were trained the camel or who ride camels are known as jockeys. uh, with the inventions and advancements, the camel racing has also been affected or changed. Now the robot jockeys controlling the camels during the races, and robotic jockeys are controlled by the trainers who drive alongside the track in their SUVs. If I will ask you a question, what are robot jockeys? I'm sure you are able to answer that the robot jockeys are to control the camel during the race, controlled by the trainers. Horse riding is one of the very interesting game in the UAE and the most favorite of the entire uh, nation of the UAE. Horse racing, like camel racing, is very important in Arab culture and history. One of the most famous horse racing tournaments is the Dubai World Cup, which is held in Dubai. Horse racings are not always for speed. In endurance racing, horse racing for long distance in hot and difficult terrain, the UAE hosts the World Endurance Championships for endurance racing. Those were the games which were used for the traditional which has achieved the international level of the games of the sports of the UAE. And these are some of the traditional games which were played by the kids in the past, and still they are the part of the UAE culture, and they are still considered as the traditional games. For example, Al Tilla, as you can see in the picture, how the kids are playing with marbles. Al Dusais, in which these kids are playing using their hands. Mariana, here also some small girls, they are busy in playing some traditional games. So that's all about the traditional games and sports of the UAE. I hope you enjoyed watching this lesson and learned a lot about the UAE's traditional games. Thank you very much.